Yesterday was December 13th, 2020. And if you remember 2020, if you're watching this a couple years ahead, you'll know that this was a really hard year. But we decided to focus on joy in church yesterday. We even had a young man who is a spoken word poet named Lo Allman say some things about joy. And by the end of the service, you may have wondered, but why joy? Where is there joy in the world right now? How can we begin to focus on joy? Well, I want you to know that Lo Allman also wrote a book this year called We Sang a Dirge. And it's a story of poems and laments for how he needed to express himself this year in 2020. For some reason in the church, we don't talk about lament very often. We don't talk about the hurt and the mourning and the grief and how things really aren't just right. You may have lost a loved one this year. We have a couple families in church who lost multiple loved ones this year. I mean, not just from COVID. All the COVID garbage has been bad enough. We have people who have found themselves unemployed because of everything going on. There have been some really extreme natural disasters in our country and around the world. There's just broken family relationships going on as well. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of being stuck together with your family in lockdown is that you may find you didn't get along as well as you thought, or your marriage isn't as strong as you thought. There's been more divorce, there's been more suicide. It really is a heartbreaking year. And so you really may be asking, where is God? How do you find this joy? And all the other things that we've been talking about at Christmas time. Then you add on top of it all of the ads for stuff that, if you buy this, or if you own that, or if your tree is bigger or greener or has more ornaments, or do you have enough lights on your house so that they can see it from outer space? There's also all of the political fun stuff going on and the great division that it has caused the United States. Then there's the vaccine, and it's starting a whole other platform of being able to give each other grief and being able to tear each other down at a time of year when we're supposed to be building each other up and really showing the love and light of Christ to others. So where is Jesus in all of this? Well, first I want to read a scripture to you from John chapter 14, verse 27. And this is Jesus speaking to us. He says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." It's easy to read these things and wonder, well, how are we not troubled? How are we not afraid? And it does go back to his peace. Jesus offers us a peace that is just different from what the world offers. All the presents, all the trees, all the decorations, right? That's all going to be gone by sometime in mid-January. Our streets get a little darker, things seem a little gloomier. It's winter, we are still dealing with COVID and vaccines and all that garbage and all the fallout from the presidential election. Whether you were voting for that candidate or against that candidate, however it worked out, there's going to be some fallout. We're still going to be looking at the loss of loved ones and the broken relationships. So how does that peace happen? Well, it really is a choice. It's a choice to lean into Christ. It's a choice to get to know Christ if you don't know him yet. And it's worth the time. It's worth the investment because this peace has strength behind it. This peace is solid, and this peace allows you to actually feel how you're feeling. Jesus knew we were going to feel hurt, we were going to have pain. He tells us in John 16:33, just a couple of chapters later, "I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble." Notice there's not a might or an if or possibly, and it's not, well, if you behave, you won't have trouble, and if you're bad, that's when you get the trouble. It's just a general statement. You will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world. Overcoming here is another term for victory, to have victory over when you go back to the Greek. peace here in John 14 and John 16 is a peace that is based on something not with your feelings, but with your knowledge, head knowledge of who God is and how much He loves you and why He gave Jesus for you. As Christians, we celebrate Christmas by God with us. Another term is Emmanuel that you'll hear all over the radio and in different places. Maybe if you go to Christmas Eve service, you'll hear that. Emmanuel, God with us. But if you don't really believe that, if you're not really convinced of it, then it's hard to access that peace. And we want to help you. We want to walk with you through the difficulty. We want you to know that Asbury Church is here for you. You can get in touch with us through Facebook, email, phone call. We are happy to talk to you. We're happy to get you to counselors who know more than we do, as the pastoral staff, as the administrative staff here. We'll do whatever we can. But the first thing you want to be able to do is just feel what you're feeling. Don't ignore it. Don't try and run from it. Don't try and create something out of nothing. If you're grieving, if you're hurting, if you're worried, if you're scared, it's okay to feel that way. That's allowed. As a matter of fact, God Himself is giving you permission to feel that. Just remember shortly after that you don't want to stay in that place. We don't want to wallow in those places. God also gives us permission to move on. So when you catch yourself laughing and you feel like you shouldn't be, remember that God's placing that there. When you catch yourself feeling hopeful or joyful, when you catch yourself moving on from the hurt and the pain, rejoice. God is with you. He's showing you that He's going to walk you through this. He's showing you that His peace will bring something to you, again, that is far more lasting than what the world can. He has overcome. He is victorious over all the pain. And there will come a day where all of this will make so much more sense to us. But until it does, feel what you're feeling. Lament and mourn and cry out to God. His ears are open. His arms are wide open. He loves you so much, more than you deserve or could understand. So lean into that. And then when those joyous, hopeful, peaceful times come, embrace them and know that that's God showing His affection for you.